Hello everybody, it is Clutch here from the Sodak Motorcycle blog, coming to you from the lovely, the ever cool Badlands. It is October 16th actually, 2021, and you're actually seeing this video on November 11th 2021. First of all, I'd like to encourage you to subscribe to the Sodak Motorcycle blog and like this video, share it with your friends. Now, you notice I'm on the bike, but there's a little bit of bike in this video, but not a lot, not like normal. But anyways, since today is Veterans Day, a day which actually started after World War I was completed. It started off as Armistice Day. Basically, it was in honor of the Armistice from World War I. 11th minute, or 11th hour, 11th day of the 11th month. Hence, every year on November 11th in the Allied countries and the Commonwealth nations in the United States. Some mule deer got some big ears. It is celebrated. It later became involved to all veterans. I myself am a veteran, and I decided today would be a very good day to tell my story. And it actually does have a little bit of relation to a motorcycle. So you're just gonna have to stay with me to get the relationship. For those of you that have been following this blog for a long time, you probably already know and remember what it was, but like I said, you gotta stay to the end to figure out what the relationship is to a motorcycle. So, my story, well, it actually begins back in September of 1999. That's when I joined the South Dakota Army National Guard. Now, at that point in time, you know, deployments just kind of weren't a thing. It was something that happened to like the engineers and a few other units in during the first Gulf War, but for the most part, yeah, it just, you know, it didn't happen. It just didn't. Like, you were in the guard, and you did whatever, did your thing, went to college, whatever, and that was it. So that's pretty much what I figured I'd do. Well, it kind of started a little bit in February of 2003 is when we got the first it wasn't really an alert call, but it was a call of, yep, you guys are going to go somewhere. So we had to start getting ready, and there was a couple long drills. Heck, there was a 5-day guard drill in there. It seemed like all I was doing in February and early March that year was going to drill. And in mid-March, we hopped on buses and we bussed down to Tennessee, and we fell in on a field artillery battalion that was based out of Chattanooga. We fell in on one of their firing batteries, and I was not an artilleryman myself. I actually was supply in the field artillery, so I never did anything cool like shoot. And also our field artillery unit, it was MLRS, it was all rocket, so it wasn't like any cool like towed artillery, anything like that. And we spent a month, we were down there for a month basically getting ready to go. We got validated to go, and well, we were one of those units that was going to go in through Turkey. And for those of you who remember the Iraqi Vacation, Turkey said, nope, we're not going to let you in, and well, there was our ride to Iraq was gone. So the first month we got validated. The second month we pretty much spent a lot of time not doing a bunch other than basically trying not to get hurt too bad, and you know, stuff like that. And well, after a few weeks of that, basically midway, we got deactivated. Sorry, buddy. Cute little deer. So it's kind of cool when they get that close. But we basically got deactivated mid-May. Flew a plane ride home. I think deep down we all knew that wasn't the end of it. There was a lot of us that basically tried to tell ourselves it was the end of it, myself included. And yeah, that was it. That was the last we heard until, well, November drill that year. We were sitting a drill, and that Sunday morning was just a long morning. And I think I was supposed to take a PT test that day at like 8, or no, like 7:30. And we sat at 7:30 and we waited. And we waited from 7:30, then it became 8, then 8:30, and then 9, and then 9:30. And basically we kept, you know, wondering, hey, when are we going to take our PT test? And we kept getting the, oh, hey, you just wait, just hold, just stand fast, just wait. It's like, what the hell, you know? Well, we find out what the hell pretty quick when they come out and said, yep, the gist of it was we were going to back to Iraq, obviously, and we were going to fall in on well, we didn't have all the details, but the gist of it was on the 15th of December we were going on active duty orders, and I want to say the 23rd of December we were going to ship down to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, which was our mob station, and probably go into country like sometime in late January, early February. Oh, cool, whatever. And so it basically became real then. Once again, kind of got the affairs in order. We did have time before that first mobilization to kind of do the same thing. It was kind of a practice run. And we went active duty the 15th. We actually ended up going to Fort Sill on the 26th of December because our congressional delegation and our governor and all that pretty much kind of pushed the whole, why are we sending this unit down to Fort Sill just to sit around and wait over Christmas while nothing's open? So the Army said, okay, fine, come down the 26th. So that's what we did. Enjoyed our last Christmas with our families for that year, and you know, kind of tried to celebrate like, you know, maybe possibly it could be your last one, you know. And there you go. We were in Fort Sill through most of January. Then we flew out to Kuwait. We got there a couple days before the Super Bowl. So I actually didn't watch the Super Bowl that year. This is now in 2004. Because it was like on at like, you know, 2 or 3 in the morning, and I just didn't feel like getting up early and going and watching the Super Bowl. Plus I didn't have any teams in it. Although looking back, I wish I would have, because I missed a hell of a good game, but you know, it is what it is. Sleep was more important to me at that time. And so we were there like through like, I think it was like the 22nd of February we shipped in the country, got up there and basically went to work on our mission. Our mission was pretty simple. We did a lot of guarding ammo sites, and we'd guard the civilian contractors who kind of ran the show, and then which they were at explosive ordnance disposal, EOD. And we had third country nationals and local nationals that pretty much did the work of getting the ammunition gathered up, and they'd either blow it in place there or they'd haul them off to other locations. Essentially we were security. We'd help with the trucking a little bit, but for the most part we were the security. We started off in what was it, a little camp kind of by Azubar in Iraq, and for about 6 months that was my home. Now I didn't go out and do anything. I didn't go out and do anything with the ammunition. Everything I did was for mornings, and in the evenings we'd run down to Camp Navstar in Kuwait, and we'd grab chow and bring it back and feed it and basically kindle up, put it away. So that was mostly my wishes, you know, chow runs in the morning and the afternoon. Then throughout the day we'd do supply tasks, whatever was kind of needed. If it worked out right and you had everything caught up, you just kind of take advantage of the day and go, like, you know, we had a little gym there, go like lift weights or just kind of relax, do whatever, you know. And so I was there for 6 months, came back on leave. Went back there from leave, spent another 2 weeks there. We basically packed up and got ready to move to another location. So the second location, we were there for probably about 2.5 months, or at least I was. And it was not near as good as life was down at Azubar. First of all, we're up in a little place kind of near a city called Al-Amara, and we were actually on a British camp. It wasn't too bad, although it kind of got annoying because it seemed like almost every day and every night you'd have to deal with mortar attacks. Now granted, these attacks were, you know, they were kind of dash and go. A lot of that because according to the British, their rules of engagement is they can only engage their active engages. So if they popped the mortar and got out of there, guess what? You can't really do nothing with them because, well, they're not combatants anymore. Even if they had the equipment. It was, at least that's what the Brits told us. I don't know for sure, and maybe someone that was in the British military at that time can validate that. I don't know, that was just what we heard. So it was a non-stop, just pop shots and just kind of deal with it. We'd go through various stages of having to wear body armor and Kevlar in camp, and so we were up there for 2.5 months doing with that. Kind of did the same thing. Actually did some going out and doing work out on the, well, stand there and sitting there and looking at dirt, because, you know, we didn't do anything back at camp. That was the kind of the going theory. In fact, one day one of the sergeants was like, this gotta be so much better than sitting at camp doing nothing all day. It's like, nah, this is actually kind of boring because I'm sitting here doing nothing. I'm looking at dirt. I have a sensitive items report due and an inventory due, but hey, that's right, I don't do nothing. But anyways, that's a different story for a different day and probably for a different vlog. So there for 2.5 months. In the last 3 months I was there, I ended up down at Tallil Air Base, and that was actually pretty good living. By then they had a nice little trailer park city kind of built up, trailers that actually had air conditioning and power and a hard building to stay in, and they were sealed up, so you didn't have to deal with near the dust issues as you did in like a tent. I mean, we were hard buildings our first location too, but they were so much better at this location with the actual trailer that's got air conditioning. And yeah, the last 3 months was pretty slack. I mean, I had a TV by the end of it because they actually had cable outputs, so you could watch, you know, AFN, which, I mean, it's not the best cable pack in the world, but by God, it'd give you a good amount of sporting events and such. A lot better than having to walk to the MWR tent and watching whatever the hell they're watching. And then February came, and we basically went to Kuwait and we went home, or went back to Moab Station and went home. Now, getting out of there was pretty nice because I was one of them that, you know, our battery was one of the 2 batteries that basically got to go to Kuwait and then go right to Moab Station, which was awesome. As far as hostile action, really, other than the mortars, we didn't have to deal with too much. We had a few injuries here and there, but no one got hurt. Hostile action, no one got killed. I think from our battery, there was one point where we had 2 of our soldiers that had a mortar land within 10 feet of them. Fortunately for us, the guys that launched it off forgot to pull the safety pin, so it didn't explode, thank God. And then they also had an issue, I think, with an IED up there, but it was buried so deep that all that happened was they got a bunch of sand thrown in their face, which, hey, that works. That was really it. So like I said before, we got back, we were on the fast track to Moab Station, so we didn't have to, the other 2 batteries, they had to stay back in Kuwait and they had to clean the equipment, get it ready for shipping. We did not have to do that, fortunately. So we were in Kuwait for like a day or 2 tops. We hopped on a plane, we flew back to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and did a whole bunch of did all the pleasantries there, had a deactivation ceremony, all that, you know, I don't know, just kind of a dog pony show. Fortunately for us, that Sunday was Super Bowl Sunday, so we got back to our old World War II barracks. We'd left a day before, or a year before, and I was chowing down on pizza thanks to our family readiness group right before kickoff, and I chowed down on pizza through the first quarter, and then the third quarter, and through the rest of the end of the game, we went down to the NCO club, or basically the bar on camp, and it was called the Impact Zone, and we had a whole bunch of beers, and it tasted really good. We found out that while our tolerance level was pretty low, because most of us had not drank through that whole year. I know I didn't, so unless basically except for the 2 weeks on leave, I didn't drink because I didn't want to get any issues with that. I know a bunch of people did, but it just wasn't worth it for me to screw it up, to adversely affect my life just because of one dumb decision downrange. So we spent a week in Moab Station, and then we got to come home and got deactivated and went on with our lives, basically, is what we did. And the year went really fast. Like, when you're there in the moment, it doesn't feel like it goes that fast, but you sit back and look back, you're like, man, time really went fast this year. Like, it's crazy how quick a year really is, especially now where we got back in 2005. It is now 2021, and this February, basically, I would have been back. I would have been back 17 years already, which is crazy. It's crazy when you think about it, that, you know, I would be back 17 years. I've been back 17 years already in February, but man, it does. It's quick. And like I said, I went home. I got home. Things were pretty good for me. Of course, I had a good family set up at home. I had my wife. Well, she was my fiance when I came back. There was a number in our battery that weren't as fortunate as I was. A lot of them came out of it. I think there was a number of them that did not. And just like any other unit that comes back from downrange, our battery alumni have experienced their fair share of loss and had issues coming back and coping and adjusting. Now, I didn't tell this story just for a sob story or anything like that. I tell it just to basically tell my story. A little bit of history about myself. Ironically, when I was over downrange there, the whole time I was there, I was just like, I'm getting out, I'm done with this, I'm getting out. Like, I was just dead set. I was getting out of the Guard completely for good. And then I came back, and in August of that year, I transferred to a different unit, and I re-enlisted for 6 years, and 22 years later, I'm still here in the Guard, so. Although I'm kind of glad that I made the choice to stay in. It's definitely given me a lot over the years. You know, even the deployment, it was kind of it was just a deployment, so you had stupid stuff with deployment, but in the end too, there were some things that were pretty cool about it. I've actually stood on the ziggurat at Ur. I've actually climbed to the top of that thing before, and I know there's a lot of you that probably can't say that, so that was pretty cool. You know, I saw a whole part of the world that was a completely different part of the world. It's amazing how different it is. How the little things you kind of take for granted here that aren't there, that you really it gives you a better appreciation of it. Before I went, I was kind of immature. I wasn't the most grown up in the world. I mean, that first activation helped a little bit with that, but then after coming back from Iraq, like, it was a whole different person. For a good way. You know, a lot of people come back, you know, in maybe a not so good way, but I was one of the ones that actually came back, and it changed me for good. And I come back, I had a newfound, motivation. I went from damn near being on probation for a couple semesters before the activations to, by the time I graduated school, I actually made, I actually graduated cum laude. So yeah, I actually had the 3.0 when I graduated. So yeah, I graduated cum laude, and I took my DPA from it was 2.2 when I got back to, I took it all the way back up to, what I graduate with, 3.2 or 3.1. It was close, but I managed to do it. Made the deeds list 2 of the 5 semesters that I actually had left the school. So, and like I said, kind of moved on in my life and became a productive member of society. So I'm very fortunate that I came back to that. I think a lot of it is what I came back to, is really good life. Like I said, there's many out there that weren't so fortunate. Like I said before, I didn't do this for any special recognition or anything like this. I just thought it would be good to share my story on Veterans Day. So there's no need to thank me for my service. In fact, I'll be honest with you, I feel kind of awkward when people thank me for my service. I just do. I've always felt awkward about it. But I always, you know, thank you for the support and all that stuff. And, you know, in the end, it's kind of, like I said, it's still kind of weird to me being thanked for my service. But that's another story for a different vlog. One thing I will leave you with is make sure you get your holidays right. So first of all, November 11th, that's Veterans Day, and that is the day that's for veterans. It honors the veterans. Those, basically, a veteran is someone that pretty much has gone overseas, done some time in combat and come back. Also, I think if you do 20 years active duty without deployment, you're considered a veteran. There's a couple other stipulations, but that's basically that's who it's being honored that day. Memorial Day is for those that have fallen. Those are for those, so the ones that have fallen basically in hostile action overseas. That's what Memorial Day is for. So please do not go up and wish veterans and active duty service members and former service members, don't wish them a happy Memorial Day. Don't thank them for their service on that day, because that day is not for them. That day is for those that have fallen, the ones that basically didn't make it back, the ones that all of us who have served hold in the highest regard, because they made the ultimate sacrifice. The final day that I will leave you with is called Armed Forces Day. And that day, it honors active duty and Guard and Reserve Armed Forces. Basically, if they're actively in the armed forces of some kind, that's their day of being honored. And there you go. Well, there is my story. That's my Veterans Day story. But once again, I'd like to thank you for stopping by. Like I said, it was kind of a personal one, really kind of personal one to kind of hit from the heart today. You know, kind of explain to you my story and the things we did, and you know what I've done, and you know all of that. Oh, and also the last thing, here's the motorcycle connection to this. So of course I had an XJ 550. Bought that before, or not XJ, but the CX500, bought that before we actually deployed. When I came home on leave, I actually, the night before I did my driving test, I bought the XJ 550 for 1,500 bucks. And then in December of that year of that deployment, my wife bought me a 2004 V-Star 1100 for $8,900. And it was a silver oil package. It had everything on it that we needed, and it was able that me and my wife could actually go and take trips together and stuff. I mean, we didn't take terribly long trips, but we actually got to go some places. And frankly, we wouldn't have been able to upgrade into a new bike that quick if not for that deployment. So that deployment was a big part of the catalyst that got me fully blown into motorcycles. I mean, the spark had already been lit, but the deployment was kind of what put it over the edge. Also, so that V-Star 1100 was traded off for my GL 1500, which became Geezer, and that GL 1500 was traded off for this GL 1800, which is Geezer too. So this bike that I'm riding right now is a direct descendant of my deployment. So that's a pretty big deal to me that this is my deployment. So there's still a connection to that deployment basically in every bike that I own. Really, that connection won't go away unless I buy a different bike and don't trade. So that's kind of how it keeps the connection alive, is just trading off for all these bikes. But so there's your motorcycle connection to the video. So like I was saying before, thank you for stopping by today. Once again, I'd like to urge you to subscribe to the Sodak Motorcycle Blog and like this video, and go ahead and share it with your friends. It's definitely a good thing when you subscribe and when you like these videos, because that helps the algorithm and all that stuff. Or at least that's what everybody else says. You know, but it'd be really cool if you subscribed. I think only 10% of my videos right now are being watched by people that subscribe. So I know there's tons of you out there that have not subscribed. Please subscribe. I would definitely appreciate it. So until next time, I'm Clutch from the Sodak Motorcycle Blog. Have a nice day.